This video is all about how to make money with landscape photography as a hobby. And I'm talking about 5 things that you must get right before you get started. Hi, I'm Kim from Landscape to Art. For a lot of landscape photographers, it's a dream to be able to travel around the world and make money from photography, from your landscape photos. And of course, the thought of doing what you love all day long is of course anything. Everybody wants to do that, but it's very difficult, and only a few can make a living from traveling, at least to begin with. And it's also expensive, and you don't have any clients yet that could buy your work. So leave it as a dream for now, and get started slow. And also traveling is difficult when you start, because if you have a day job, you cannot just leave the job and go wherever you like to. So I recommend you should start simple. Work on activities in your local market, and see if you like it. See if you like marketing and selling, because that's a big part of a business. And also this way you can keep your day job until you start making decent money, and then later decide if you want to go full time. Because running a business is just a lot more than taking beautiful photos. And this applies to any business, and it comes to as a surprise to a lot of photographers when they start a business and trying to make money, that they get a lot less time to photograph. Instead, they have to market and do sales activities. The first thing you need to be aware of is to keep your spendings low. And you remember, you don't have a business before you make any money. So it's important to keep the cost low, unless you have a very well paid day job that can support your hobby to get started. But most people don't have that. So don't rush and buy a new camera or a new expensive lens just because you are thinking of making money from photography. Because the truth is, you don't need a better camera or a lens to get started. Use whatever you have, because if you have a customer that buy your prints or anything, if you offer a service, they don't care about what camera you have. They either look at your photos, and the photos tells the quality of your work, and it doesn't matter what camera you have used. And also, if you offer some kind of service to customers, they don't care about your camera. Also, when you are starting out trying to make money from photography as a hobby, you need to keep your marketing cost low. And that's why social media is great if you use it the right way. And a lot of photographers have successfully started businesses by growing a decent following on social media platforms. But also, a lot of these photographers have a big following, but at the time they start to market or sell anything, no one buys. The next thing you must be aware of is that you must be able to offer something that people really want. And no matter what you're selling, it must have a value for the customer. It must be something that the customers are asking and requiring. What is value for you might not be perceived as value for your potential clients. And for a landscape photographer, selling prints is the most obvious when you're new and you're starting trying to make money from your hobby. Because after all, you're a photographer. So for you, prints is the biggest assets you have. That's what you think you can sell. Of course, as a photographer, you tend to love your own photos. You adore your photos, and you think they are the best in the world, but still they are very hard to sell. And it has become harder the recent years also, as the competition has grown, and landscape photographers can market their work all over the place via the internet and social medias. When I started my photography business, I tried for a while to sell prints, and I even bought a very expensive printer and equipment to make my own framing. But I sold just a few prints, and I found that this is not a sustainable business model, and it was a lot of hard work. And most of these prints was sold to friends and families, and some to colleagues at my previous day job. This doesn't mean you cannot sell prints, but you have to sell prints in the right channels. As I said, selling prints is tough. So you might also consider what else can you offer. And don't forget that you have skills as a landscape photographer. You have skills that other that know less about photography than you wants to learn. So there might be people around that wants to learn from you. So you can also sell knowledge in some way or form. And that's what I did. I sold, or I did training courses for colleagues at work, and got a little paid for that. It's not nothing to get rich from, but it's a start, and you get some references from doing this. The next and very important thing that you must consider is you must choose to do something that you really want. And this is very important, because if you don't do something you really like, something that's your passion, how can you stand doing it for months and years to come? So, like, selling prints is fine for a startup, but can you imagine yourself editing and framing prints and selling the prints for the rest of your life? And another important thing with running a business or selling something from your hobby, it's, are you prepared for selling and the marketing part? I know the dream for many landscape photographers when they start considering a business is the idea that they will just travel around the world and make a lot of money. But as I said, this is hard. And still, if that was the case, would you be able to travel around the world, flying all over all the time, and do that for years? I did that in my previous job. I traveled a lot all over the world, and of course I was privileged to be able to do that for 15 years. But after 15 years of international travel, it was really hard to get motivated. So consider, it's very important that you consider what is it you really are passionate about, and can you do it for a long time. The next very important thing to consider is that you have to know your target audience. And you can do that easily now when you know your product. But so now you have to go out and find and attract this audience that are buyers for your particular product and service. Very few businesses are in that situation, that the customers are flocking and lining up for your service. So here's the problem. As a landscape photographer, you probably hang out on social media channels with other photographers. Other photographers are not your target audience if selling prints is your business idea. So another common mistake is photographers do when they start up is that they think that just build a product and the customers will come. And a typical example is a website. And if you have built a website, you have put up your best photos and made the best you can building the website galleries, and then you realize that no one is visiting your site. And that is true for most photographers and most websites. No one comes to you unless you market, find your target audience and market to them. And then we have the next part of the equation here that you need to get going before you can even think of making money from photography, is the marketing strategies. And this is the part where most creatives like us photographers get surprised. There are two main types of marketing, and that's organic and paid traffic. Organic traffic is what most photographers do. They are using social medias to market their businesses and photos. And Instagram and Facebook and YouTube are mostly free. So you can reach a lot of audiences there, but it takes a lot of time to build the audience. The second, paid advertising, of course, costs money. And when you're just starting out, that's not the recommended way to go. And if you don't know how to to use paid advertising, it can cost you a lot of money. But the advantage with paid advertising is that you can reach your ideal audience very quick. If you choose the organic route, you need to know who your audience are and where they are hanging out. Because it's of course a pity if you after several months or even years find that you have attracted the wrong audience and they don't buy from you. If you see yourself doing business as a landscape photographer in the future, it's important that you start building the audience now, because as I said, building organic traffic takes a lot of time. So picking the right platform to market your offers is important. Like, for example, if you're selling prints, you should try to reach editors in magazines. So maybe LinkedIn is a better platform for you in that case than Facebook or YouTube. Most landscape photographers that are running seriously businesses, they offer some form of services. And in this case, if you sell a service, your audience won't help. So they are actively looking for you and want you to solve a problem. And typically they are searching online on services like YouTube and Google. And in that case, you need to be present there and you need to be found on these platforms. If you want more business ideas for landscape photographers, you can download my free PDF in the description below this video. The most important when you want to start any form of business is a strategy. And even if you start as a hobby, you can make a nice side income with landscape photography. So no matter if your strategy is to make a side income from photography or not, think about what's coming next. You might succeed as a hobbyist and then you want to take this up to the next level. So start to build your dream audience already now and not just start a random following. Use the platform that is most suitable for your products. Go watch this video if you want tips and tricks about how to start a landscape photography business on YouTube. And until next time, ha det bra, goodbye.